If you're comfortable in your job, you probably just assume you'll coast to retirement and there'll be a big, fat, juicy pension pot waiting for you there. This may have been true in the times of the final salary pension, but in almost all jobs now, that glorious beast is long since extinct.
With modern pensions, you personally need to be far more aware of the nuances of the pension rules and how they work if you're going to reach the now difficult goal of retiring in comfort. Most of all, you need to be aware of the pitfalls and roadblocks in your way that are actively working against you and your pension. Why is your pension so small and what's keeping you from retiring? Let's check it out.
If you're keen to get your pensions in order, but the nitty-gritty of retirement investing isn't for you, a great option for hands-off investors is to open a SIPP with Nutmeg. They will build and manage a globally diversified portfolio on your behalf in just a few clicks, tailored to you.
New customers who use the special link on the Money Unshackled offers page will also get the first 6 months with 0 management fees. If you'd rather manage your retirement investments yourself, check out the rest of our hand-picked range of pensions on moneyunshackled.com.
Number 1. The incomprehensible tax system. Higher rate taxpayers get to claim 40% tax relief on their pension contributions, the maths of which means you effectively get a 67% boost to your pension pot. Tax reliefs are a fantastic benefit of pensions and a powerful factor in ensuring that you actually reach a comfortable retirement. But getting that higher rate tax relief is not automatic.
That will come as news to some people who mistakenly assume that the correct amount of tax relief is applied each time you pay into your pension. But to get the higher rate tax relief, the usual route is to register a self-assessment tax return, then go through the laborious process of opening an account on the government portal, and then find the artfully hidden section of the online tax return where you can ask for your full relief to be applied. You can also go down the option of writing letters or talking it through with HMRC on the phone, but they don't make it simple. People who don't know this are missing out on hundreds or more likely even thousands of pounds every year in tax relief.
This is an extremely easy trap to fall into because the information is not communicated to you. HMRC, normally keen to bombard taxpayers with reminders to pay their tax bill, does more or less nothing to tell 4 million higher and additional rate taxpayers that they actively need to claim their tax relief according to the Times. From HMRC's perspective, it's understandable. Tax relief on pensions is expensive, costing the government more than £40 billion a year and rising.
A similar misunderstanding will keep some unfortunate retirees from getting the state pension, as you don't automatically qualify for this. You may not realise that you need to pay a certain amount of national insurance for 35 years to qualify for the full state pension.
Number 2. Not understanding that you need £1 million to retire. What's a good pension pot size? Take a look at your pension balance and weep. The famous 4% rule tells us that to retire with a household income of £40,000, about enough for a household to live comfortably in retirement, pension pots totalling £1 million will be required, or £532,000 after factoring in the value of the state pension. But for people under 40, we think the state pension is unlikely to still be around in its current form by the time we retire, so it's still sensible to aim for £1 million.
It didn't used to be this way. Patrick Collinson in The Guardian writes that his dad was able to take out an annuity in the 1980s which promised 14.5% in perpetuity, and it had been paying this out for the past 29 years as of his dad's 93rd birthday. Alright for some. Nowadays, annuities are as good as dead, offering pathetic rates of around 2 to 3% for products which rise with inflation. Only 10% of retirees still use them.
This chart from the FCA shows that annuities in purple are unpopular across all sizes of pension pots, with drawdown being the preferred choice for people with pots over 30 grand. Below that size, people prefer to just cash their chips in and take the money. Drawdown typically involves investing your money into the stock market and/or bonds, and drawing an income from the returns. Without those massive historical annuity rates, you're going to have to put a lot more effort into saving up if you ever want to retire.
Number 3. The pandemic. A report by PensionBee showed that 43% of Brits are thinking they will need to delay their retirements due to the changing economy in the wake of COVID-19. Interestingly, the youngest generation expected they would have to delay their retirements the longest. Young people may be right to worry the most, given the increasing cost of living. Middle-aged people who are closer to pension age may have a more accurate assessment of their retirement finances.
The same report highlighted a more serious problem though than the pandemic: the fact that those aged 41 to 54 only had, on average, £33,000 in their pension pots. How the average person plans to be able to retire is a mystery to us. Because of the requirement to pay for the lockdowns, one of the next tax breaks in the line of fire is the rule that says pensions are exempt from inheritance tax if you die before 75. The Institute of Fiscal Studies are campaigning for the government to remove this rule, which means if you want to pass on a specific sum to your heirs, you may soon need your pot to be even bigger, to factor in the amount lost to the taxman.
Number 4. Have you factored in retirement income tax? All your focus right now is no doubt on the accumulation phase, that is building up your pot, but eventually you'll get to the withdrawal or drawdown phase, and have you factored in that your retirement income will be taxed to the rafters? Pension income falls within the income tax rules and so will be taxed at 20%, 40% or 45% after taking your personal allowance, most of which is consumed by the state pension.
This means that your pot will need to be bigger than if you were using the basic 4% rule. That £1 million pot size we quoted earlier to get a £40,000 income may in fact need to be closer to £1.35 million. A pension is still your best bet though during the accumulation phase if you're a higher or additional rate taxpayer for those 40% and 45% tax reliefs.
Number 5. Auto-enrolment is not fit for purpose. We're generally in favour of the government's auto-enrolment scheme, which means employers must set you up with a pension and also must contribute into it alongside your own payments. But the system as it stands is not fit for purpose. 3 things must change.
1. The minimum amounts paid in need to be ramped up significantly. It's currently 8%, being 4% from you, 3% from employers, and 1% from the taxman. A report by Interactive Investor showed how this must be increased to a 12% minimum if current workers are to retire with similar retirement incomes to those people who retired before the 2008 financial crisis, an event which had wide-ranging impacts, including destroying interest rates and lowering future expected stock market returns.
2. The 8% you get is only on qualifying earnings, some technical mumbo-jumbo where the end result means you actually get far less than 8% of your salary. This needs to go. And 3, auto-enrolment only kicks in at age 22, why not 18? AJ Bell have calculated that those extra 4 years at a 12% contribution rate would add £12,365 to the average pension pot before investment returns. Add on 50 years of compounding at 5% and that becomes an extra £150,000.
Number 6. A misunderstanding of volatility. If you're going to retire, you're going to need to build your pension pot fast by investing into the stock market. Stock market funds, and more so individual stocks, are very volatile investments in that their values fluctuate a lot, to the extent that in a market crash, you may find your pension pot is half the size it was the month previously.
But by the same measure, your pot would probably never have gotten to that size in the first place by investing in so-called lower risk but lower return assets like bonds. In our view, the real risk to worry about is that your pot never grows big enough to retire on. Avoiding volatile assets like stocks raises this risk significantly.
Someone I know in their 40s invests through their pension into a Vanguard Life Strategy 20% equity fund, meaning that 20% of their pension is invested in the stock market and 80% into bonds. Lucky for him, he's got an extremely well-paid career and so can afford to build his pot quite easily from his job, which is just as well as he's not getting much help here from compound returns.
Number 7. Your employer's choices. We've exposed in this video how your workplace pensions are full of rubbish, ripping apart one of our own pensions as an example. The problem with most UK workplace pensions is how UK focused they are. While the raciest US tech stocks have now plummeted back to earth after the pandemic, America's S&P 500 is still well ahead of the UK's FTSE 100, and this is part of a wider trend. The FTSE 100 is full of old, lumbering dinosaur companies, sometimes being referred to in the industry as the Jurassic Park Index.
While your current workplace pension reaps the rewards of employer contributions, your pensions from previous jobs don't, and these are the ones you should be looking to overhaul by taking personal control over where the money is invested.
We each use a SIP to store and grow our wealth from our old jobs, and in doing so we're able to choose providers and funds that invest to our preferred method in the global stock market. In our pensions, the UK does get a look in, just a proportionally small one based on its global market capitalisation.
Also one to keep an eye on, the Chancellor is looking to lift the 0.75% fees cap on workplace pensions. It will be interesting to see what comes of this review and the impact it has on your current and past workplace pensions.
Number 8. Flexible access. Sweeping reforms introduced in 2015 allowed people to withdraw 25% of their pension as a tax-free lump sum of cash. This Is Money report that nearly half, 45% of retirees have been taking their lump sum, with the main reasons cited being to pay down their mortgage or to do home renovations. Is this sensible, or are these people shooting themselves in the foot? Have they factored in that 25% cut to their future investment returns?
We worry that the lack of personal finance education in the UK means many will not have done a proper retirement cash flow forecast and are not knowledgeable enough to properly plan for their next 30 or 40 years of retirement income, a decision that previously would have been outsourced to an annuity.
Number 9. Placing too much hope in pensions. As we've said already, for most of us under 40, the state pension probably won't be there in its current form by the time we retire. But since the state pension age keeps on rising, the age you can access your private pensions keeps creeping up too, since the access dates for private pensions and the state pension typically stay 10 years apart. You need to be saving a lot more in accessible accounts. You might get to age 55 and find you are finally rich, only to discover you still can't retire because all your wealth is locked in a pension. For this reason, we suggest you look into an ISA pension bridging strategy, as outlined in this video.
Question of the day: are you worried about your pension size? What action are you taking? Join the conversation in the comments below.
Thanks for watching. On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing in all things money, and if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.